next Messi has arrived, the wonder kid who could own 2026. There is an 18-year-old walking around London right now who Chelsea paid over 30 million euros for before he'd played a single senior minute in Europe. His name is Estêvão, but almost nobody calls him that. They call him Messinho, Little Messi. And before you roll your eyes, because every kid with a good left foot gets that nickname, stick with me, because this time the comparison didn't come from a lazy YouTube highlight reel. It came from Brazil itself at age 10 before he'd even left his hometown club. So is this just hype? Or is Chelsea actually sitting on the next genuine generational talent? Heading into a huge year for football, let's break down exactly how a kid from a small Brazilian city ended up being called the heir to the greatest player ever. And stick around, because the way Chelsea's manager reacted to the comparison says a lot more than you'd think. The nickname that started it all. Estêvão didn't earn Messinho in a press conference. He earned it as a literal child, playing for Cruzeiro's academy. Coaches and scouts watched this tiny kid glide past defenders twice his size and just started calling him that. It stuck. It followed him to Palmeiras. It followed him across an entire ocean to Chelsea. Here's the thing about nicknames like that, though. They're a gift and a curse at the same time. A gift because it gets you noticed. A curse because now every single touch gets compared to the best player who has ever lived. You know the type. The kid who gets called the next anything, and then spends his whole career trying to outrun the comparison instead of just becoming himself. The money that proved. It wasn't just talk. In 2024, Chelsea agreed a deal with Palmeiras worth around 34 million euros, plus performance bonuses that could push it well past 50 million. For an 18-year-old who'd never kicked a ball in Europe, that's not pocket change. That's a club putting its money exactly where the hype was. In theory, that's a massive gamble. In practice, clubs don't hand out fees like that on a viral highlight reel alone. Somebody in Chelsea's recruitment department watched this kid for years and decided the risk was worth it, the goal that made England pay attention. Here's where it gets interesting. Estêvão's first Chelsea goal didn't come in some throwaway preseason friendly. It came in the 95th minute against Liverpool at Stamford Bridge to help win the match. That's not a stat line. That's a moment, the kind of moment that gets clipped and replayed for years. This sounds simple. It isn't. Scoring a dramatic late winner as a teenager in your first season in a new country in a new language against one of the best teams in the league tells you something about nerve. Plenty of talented kids freeze in that spot. He didn't. The numbers behind the hype. So let's actually look at the receipts. Through his first season in England, Estêvão was already producing expected goal and expected assist numbers in the same range as Bukayo Saka, one of the Premier League's most consistent attackers. He was getting into the box more than almost anyone else on his own team, and he was doing it from the wing, the position where defenders are specifically told to shut down exactly his kind of player. In theory, a teenager adjusting to a new league should need a season just to find his feet. In practice, this kid was already statistically dangerous within his first few months. The coach who tried to kill the comparison. Here's the twist nobody saw coming. Chelsea's own manager, Enzo Maresca, actually told reporters to stop putting Messi comparisons on this kid's shoulders. Think about that for a second. The manager benefiting most from the hype is the one publicly asking people to dial it back. That's not Maresca being modest. That's a coach protecting an asset. Comparisons like the next Messi don't just create excitement. They create pressure that has crushed wonder kids before. Smart move. Even if it makes for a worse headline. The Brazil factor. Off the radar of most casual fans, Estêvão has already been getting minutes with the full senior Brazil national team, scoring goals in qualifiers for the 2026 World Cup. That matters because Brazil doesn't hand out caps to teenagers for fun. If the national team is already trusting him in competitive matches, that's a second independent group of experts backing the hype, separate from Chelsea, separate from the nickname. So, is he actually the next Messi? Honestly, nobody is the next Messi. Messi is a one-off. But that's not really the right question. The right question is whether Estêvão is good enough to become his own version of a generational player. And right now, every signal, the transfer fee, the stats, the senior caps, the big moment goals, points in exactly that direction. There's an 18-year-old in London right now carrying the weight of the most famous nickname in football, and so far he hasn't blinked. Drop your prediction below. And if you want more breakdowns like this before the big names blow up, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one.